All right, good morning. It's time for Big Country Time Sports Racing Time tutorial. So there are a couple of important things to note about the Big Country Time Sports Racing Time. This particular version, the latest 2026 book, there are a couple of rule clarifications. I wouldn't say they're rule changes, they're clarifications. So one thing that you need to know, you can roll for every phase. You are allowed to risk a wreck or an event by rolling for every phase. So unlike the Racing Time Classic, you don't roll on the final, right? And you just roll, and every team has a modifier, every track has a modifier. Well, in the advanced version of Big Country Racing Time, we're using grades. So when you create a team doesn't have an actual effect. A team is its driver and car put together. So you don't have to create teams now. You create a team by just giving them a name. United States Racing Team. And then you hire a driver and you create a car and you mix those two together on a chart, and that'll tell you the quality of your team. So your team will change every year based on your driver, your car, right? And then of course your car grade and your pit crew grade will change every year, right? So teams now are a name, and then you hire a driver, you build a car, then you match those up, and that gives you your team grade. And your team grade then is matched up against the track to give you the race grade. Your race grade is what you roll during the race. Okay, so I wanted to clarify that. So in the Racing Time Original or Racing Time Classic, there were no rules to create teams. Originally, all the teams had a modifier. And that modifier was applied to every driver and applied to every track, and then you would roll a single die 6 to see what their raw quality of their laps were, and that would give you a total of, say, 12. So you'd write in there on qualifying he had 12 points, meaning, and maybe everybody else was 6, 8, 9, 4. 12 was fast. He was the pole position guy, right? Well, in this, you're going to do all of those things, but you're checking a team. You're checking what he scores on the team grade, and you have the choice to avoid a potential wreck by choosing not to roll. On pace and pit and the finish, you must roll. So teams cannot avoid pitting, the pace and pit check, and they can't avoid the finish check. Those are mandatory. Okay, so what's different in this version that is not well defined, I should say is redefined maybe. This version, if you do not push, you do not automatically get 2 points. You get 0 points, but you don't have to roll and you don't have to risk wrecking. But if you push, you get 2, and then you roll the chart, you could get 2 more. You could be up 4-0 against everybody else. All right, so let's play. So I wanted to clarify that. Number one, you no longer have to worry about creating teams as far as creating ratings. You name a team, they hire a driver, they build a car, they get a pit crew, and then you match the car and the driver. That gives you your team score. So that's all you need to know. Okay, so that's a big deal. And then, of course, now if a driver chooses on any phase not to roll the dice, he gets 0 points. However, he must roll on 3 and 5. So qualifying. So obviously rolling gives you a chance to be ahead of everybody. But you can also wreck. So Hill, his team grade is C. And by the way, we're racing a Grand Bay. We're at 1948 Grand Bay Raceway. It's the Grand Bay GP. I have limited it to all top drivers. So in this book, there are so many teams and so many drivers, but I've limited this as an invitational to only the first seat. So any second cars are eliminated from this tutorial because I want to make this a quick tutorial. Okay. So Hill, and it doesn't matter what order you start in. You can start in any order for qualifying. Hill being the highest driver grade, team grade, whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. I just write them in the same order they're in the book, so I'm consistent. So Grand Bay is the third race, by the way, in my 1948 season. I've already completed the first 2 races on the schedule. This is my third race. And Hill and Smith are leading the pack for the most part. Okay, we're going to qualify with Hill. Hill has a race grade. So now the team grade is checked against the raceway, C, and that's going to give us a race grade, and that's the grade I must use for these drivers. So Hill is on the C charts. Okay, so Hill, right here on the C charts, he could have an event a pit stop, score nothing, score 1, or score 2. He has a 50% chance of scoring. So Hill is going to push it. So this is known as pushing it. He has a choice not to, but then he'll score 0, but he's safe. Hill is strong enough to probably win this race if I choose not to, right? But if I have an event or a pit stop, he could be in trouble. So here we go. Hill's going to go ahead and push it, though, because he is winning. He's right now winning the Drivers' Championship Cup, so he would like to continue that dominance. And no, see, we're going to have in the qualifying round, he's going to suffer an event. He is an A driver, 1d6. 5. Driver and car are 1. He's going to score 1. How about that? But remember, because he pushed, he automatically gets 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. And remember, what we're doing is limiting the math. Before, you could grow up to like where you can get up to like 38 points or 52 points or something. What I'm trying to do is keep those numbers low, and you can really get a sense that if I had a 2 plus a 2, that's 4. That's the fastest possible laps this guy can go. So 3, that's fast. Guy is probably going to be pole. All right, Rose is looking at the D charts. He's behind by 3 already. So what's happened is he'll set the tone. If Rose wants to be competitive for the remainder of the race, he kind of has to push. So we're going to push to pit stop. Uh-oh. So now we go to our pit stop, and we're going to check our crew. Our crew for Rose and Bing's car is A. And our pit stop, where's my pit stop? Where's my pit? Here it is, sorry. We're looking at A. So he's got a great crew, so why not push, right? 2, it's 0. So he scores 0, but because he chose to roll, he gets 2. So he's close. He's right on Hill's butt. All right, Jones now. And again, now, because Hill did so well, he's kind of forcing these guys to push it. D. 1. Oh, no, an event for a driver. Uh-oh, Ebersol driver grade is D. He's in trouble, folks. Ebersol 5, pit stop, blowout. So he blows out a tire. We're going to pit stop. Ebersol has a B pit crew. And 2, he's going to score no points, but because he pushed, he gets 2. Right? So we've got a tight race, and we got some ties. Remember, we don't have to resolve ties now unless we're seeding the race, or unless you just want to know who's in pole, second, third, fourth, fifth. Then you can break these ties. For qualifying, all I care about is the score, and at the end, I'll break ties. I don't need to break ties during the race now because the wrecks are independent of ties. So in Racing Time Classic, if drivers are tied after a phase, you got to check to see if they collide. Here, all wrecks and things will come off the chart, so you don't have to mess around with thinking about that. All right, Berger. Now, Berger is a C driver. He's got a C race grade, and he's got a pit crew of C. I don't know if we should risk it with Berger. Yeah, but he's way behind. He'll be way behind. Yeah, we're going to have to push. So Hill doing so well has forced these guys to all push it for qualifying. Oh, and that's what we didn't want at event. Berger, though, is a decent driver. He is a C driver, but still, this could be bad for Berger. No, he's going to be one with the car, and he's going to push Hill. Folks, we're going to have a tie for the pole position. Berger lights out on that round. Unbelievable. King. Does King push it? He's a D driver with a D grade and a C pit crew. King is not going to push. He's going to score 0. Smith is an A driver, B race grade, D pit crew. So ironically, his D pit crew is horrible. But he's got a B race grade. He's going to push it and try to get the pole. No, he's going to have an event. No, say it ain't so. He's an A driver, though, so this should be 5 is going to be one with the car, folks. We have got 3 drivers fighting for pole position. Now, if I want to, I can break these ties right now and put them in order. Hill is an A driver. Berger is a C driver. And Rector Smith is an A driver. So we know Hill and Smith are tied for pole. So the second tiebreaker is your... double check the tiebreakers. Make sure I do this right. Team grade. So we got a team grade of C, B. So there it is. So Smith will be in pole. Hill will be second. And Berger would be third. Now this is just for your own notes, right? And that's it. So we don't have to check now for Rex. Pitts will show up here. Rex will show up here. We don't have to do this. So what the reason... there's 2 reasons why this game changed so drastically for the big country version of the book. One, I wanted grades. I wanted every game to use grades and charts. So there was less processes and thinking. And everything is done here and your die roll. So what that means is I have to do less rolling. So I roll for Hill's score, then I have to roll for his car, and then if his car, I have to roll again. So I end up rolling 3 times per driver. As it is now, I only have to make a decision. Do they push? Do they not? And then roll the die. If something else comes up, then I have to roll again. So what it does is it makes dice rolls more valuable because I don't have to even roll. So Hill, we know, is second. Smith is in first. But the problem is we have 3 guys really pushing here. And again, I have choices on this phase. The start phase, there are going to be guys who don't have to do anything and maintain a position. We know they're going to have to roll here, and we know they have to roll here. And of course, because Hill rolled so well, it forced all these other guys to roll. But Smith isn't going to risk it. He's going to ride. He's not going to push. So he's going to stay 3. This would put pressure on Hill. So because Smith is in the pole, he gets to choose. If he rolls, he's going to force everyone's hand, or he can stay and give Hill the option. So Hill now decides, do I push and try to take the lead? No, he's going to hang in there. He wants to stay bumper to bumper with the leader, which means Berger, who really kind of is a C across the boards, he kind of wants to push because he knows he's not going to get the easy points. So Berger is going to try to push out and take the lead in the starting laps. And you'll see what this does. What happened between... So if you look at Racing Time Original, which is great fun, Racing Time Classics, it's completely random. You roll dice, you do math, and it tells you a narrative. This is a game. You're actually going to have to think for these drivers. You're going to have to make some conscious decisions. This is more of a game. The other is a scoring automated scoring mechanism. So you can see why Racing Time had to be further developed into a more, I think, a more advanced game, an actual game in which you can make decisions and you can weigh odds, etc. And that's where this version ended up in the big book, and that's why this version is my favorite. Boxing and racing are my 2 favorite games. I play more football than anything because football is my favorite sport, and I just love football. But racing, if you were to ask me of all of my games, what's my favorite game? It is Big Country Racing Time. Okay. Because they didn't push, they don't get the 2. Well, Berger pushes, so he's going to get the 2. It's going to give him 5 unless he wrecks. 4. 4 is another 1. So Berger's going to get 1 plus he pushed 2. Berger has really, really gotten in front. So Hill and Smith have gambled, and they've given Berger a huge lead. Big lead. This might cost these guys. All right, Rose and company. So Rose, again, we're looking at the race grade. Rose is a D. Does he want a chance, a wreck? He has to kind of hang up with the big boys. He's got 2 points. He's got to roll. 3, he's going to get no points, but he will get to add his push to this too. So guess what? Because Hill and Smith played it smart, Rose has actually gotten out ahead of those 2. All right, Jones. Jones, again, is looking at a D race grade. He's got to risk it just to stay in the hunt. Wow, 2 plus 2, 4. He has 6. Oh, no. So Jones of Ebsol is now pushing Berger bumper to bumper, folks. Unbelievable. King had 0. He has no choice. He's got to roll because he'll fall too far behind. Race grade D. And he's going to be 4. 4 is 0, but he will get at least 2. So he's at the back, but he's safe. His car, again, remember, finishing a race is more important than for a lot of these guys, just finishing on the season because they want to at least show something, right? And then, of course, we know Smith chose to skate. I have a space here because I have this damn dot in the middle of the page. All right, so guess what, folks? Jones and Berger are tied. Remember, the first tiebreak is racer ability. So Jones is a D. Berger is a C. So technically, Berger's in first. Jones is in second. Third is Rose. And 4th is tied between Hill and Ebersol. Again, they're both A's. So we look then at team grade, C and B. Guess what? So 4th is Smith. 5th is Hill. and King is 6th. Again, now we have to roll. So there's no thinking on this next one. Every team must roll. So Hill must roll. So here we go. He is looking at the race grade of C. Hill's going to get a 3, no points, so he automatically gets his 2, which is going to give him 5 because he pushed. Right? So remember, add 2. If you roll the dice, you get to add 2 to the score. Not to the die, but to the score. All right, Rose has no choice, but he's in 3rd with 4. Rose, those looking at the D grade, so this could be epic. Yep, an event. Rose is an A driver, though, so fortunately he's got a low chance of killing himself. Oh, it almost did. 0. He's going to get a track violation. That track violation is not +2. His track violation zeroes his score. He gets 4, so he actually scored despite the risk. He doesn't get the +2. He had a track violation, so he gets to carry his 4 over. He doesn't get the +2 bonus, and he's technically fallen behind Hill. And now you'll see, as you play, if you were playing this with friends or whatever, you start to see why Hill waited. Hill's now suddenly has taken Rose's spot because Rose had a track violation. All right, Jones must roll. Jones, remember, looking at the D charts, again, another dangerous roll, too. It's going to be a pit stop for Jones. And his pit crew is pretty good. B, 2. He'll score nothing, but he gets his +2 for pushing. 8. So Jones maintains his 2nd spot right now. Berger, looking at the C charts, 6. He's going to get 2 + 2, 4. Berger's at 10. Berger is way out, man. So that gamble here. So how important was qualifying for Berger to be in the 3rd spot on the grid? It's allowed him to be ahead of the 2nd best driver by 2 points. King has no choice but to roll. 5, King is on the D grade. D, 5 is +1, so 3. He's going to be at 5. So guess what? King, who chose to play it safe in qualifying, is now tied with Hill and above Rose. So now we're gambling, we're risk rewarding, and we're rolling dice for the gamble. Smith, who chose to skate in the starting laps. In other words, he took his time, he paced himself. Let's see how it pays off in the pace and pits. So again, mandatory roll. Pace and pits. Let me double check my pace and pits rules because pace and pits usually demands you do a pit check automatically. Let me double check. You have to do a pit check if you roll it, but if pace and pits, you may have to also do a full pit check. I can't remember. Yeah, mandatory roll, but is it a mandatory pit? I don't think it's a mandatory pit anymore because you already have to roll. If you push, you get 2 points. Yeah, automatically. Yeah, I think I'd simplified it so you only have to pit when the charts tell you to pit. Yep. Okay, so we're good to go. So we only have to pit if we end up in the pit, but we have to roll, which could put us in the pit. All right, so Smith's rolling, and Smith, of course, is looking at the B grade. Smith should win this, but he gambled. Oh, no, he's going to have an event. He is an A driver, so it should be fairly safe. +1, +2, so +3. He's going to be at 6. So our leader now is Berger, who was in 1st. He's now taken 1st by quite a bit. 2nd is Jones. 3rd is Smith. And because these 2 guys skated, it could cost them the race. They have to hope one of these guys has a wreck or something. We got Hill with an A grade, so he's going to be 3rd. Edging out King for 4th. 5th will be... let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wait, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. How could I only have 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What the heck? What am I doing? Well, we know this guy has to be 6. He's the worst. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's a 5, not a 3. 5, 6. Jiminy Christmas. So this is much easier than I'm making it look. But first, right now, Berger's leading the way. And again, here's what's good. Berger's a C. He has a C pit crew, and he's way ahead. He's ahead by an actual choice of pushing. So he can coast in the race and rally. So you know what, folks? The leader is going to choose to be safe. He's going to make these other guys catch him. So he's going to pace himself and avoid a wreck. So he doesn't get a bonus, but he can't have a pit or a wreck. So Berger is now hoping that the gamble he made in qualifying is going to pay off, and he will not have to gamble here. Right? Okay? All right, number 2 is Jones. Now, if Jones pushes, he'll automatically get a +2 bonus, but he could wreck. He could have something happen. Jones is looking at the D charts. This is why Jones might not want to. Yeah, it ain't worth it. He's not going to push. He's going to stay at 8. So Berger sets the pace. Jones says, you know what? I'll risk it in the final roll. So these two are both going to risk holding on to the lead, which means this is a chance for the other players to push it and catch. So third is Smith. He's looking at the B charts. He is going to push. He's going to try to catch Berger and Jones. Oh, nope. He's going to have an event. He's an A driver. 4 on the... Oh, he lost his line 0. So he gets his 2 for pushing. But he lost his line. So he's going to be at 8. And he's now tied with Jones. And he'll win the Jones battle because he's the better driver. So he edges up next to Jones and then ultimately will get around Jones. And the 0 here, he just lost the line. It's not a violation. He just lost the line. So he gets his +2 for pushing. And now Hill has no choice. We got to do number 4. That's going to be number 4 here. It's going to be Hill, actually. Hill's looking at the C chart. 6. He gets 2 + 2, 4, 9. Hill is at 9. He's now in second. And his pacing here paid off as he scored brilliantly in the race and rally. He rallied to take second. All right, and we got King. King needs to roll high. King is looking at the D charts. 5, not bad. He's going to get 3. So King's at 8. Look how tight this race is, folks. 10, 9, 8, 8, 8. Oh, my land. And Rose has no choice but to roll. Rose is looking at the D chart. 2 is not good. D is going to be a pit stop for Rose. Rose has an A crew, though. And 4 is going to be a bonus. He's going to get 3. So Rose even comes out of the race and rally portion of the race. On those laps, when he had to pit, his crew gained him time. We're going to assume in an abstraction like this, they're always pitting. Like, these guys are always coming in for fuel or to change tires or to fix something. There's major check. You know, you got to imagine that this check is because there's a problem with the car, or a check is it's a normal pit to get fuel. They did so well, he gained a bonus. So, folks, number 1, Berger, who didn't risk anything. Number 2 will be Hill, as he stole the spot. Number 3 is a tiebreaker from 3 guys. A, so it's going to be number 3 is Smith, who's second in the standings. 4 will be Jones. 5 will be King. And 6 will be Rose, who's just slower than everybody. He's not the worst driver. He's just slower. Well, he is pretty bad. D, actually. His team is an F. Holy cow. All right, this is it. The final phase of the race. This is the last 10 laps of the race. This is a chance for guys to get into those battles to take the podium spot. We go with Berger. Berger could coast. He's winning by 2, and he could coast. I'm sorry, he can't coast. It's mandatory. He must roll. So he wants to score bonuses because everybody's going to roll, and he doesn't want to get outpaced. So in the final 10 laps, pedal to the metal, Berger's pushing it. And here we go. Berger, looking at the C charts, is going to be an event. Oh, no, he's going to blow up. Berger, C. No. And he's going to roll a 5, though. He's going to be lost the line, so he'll get just his 2, which means he can still win. If all of these guys fail to score a bonus, he could still win this race. So despite losing his edge, he started to daydream. He was hitting his apex, and he missed some apexes. Ended up having to cut corners short, ended up going wide on some corners. He lost his line, folks. But do you realize, even with this +2 9, 9 +2 11, if Hill fails to score a bonus, he can still win this race. Hill must score a bonus. Hill's looking at the C charts. Yep, +2, 4, 13. Hill, being the better driver with the better car, or actually his car's not very good. Being the better driver with a better team, I should say, Hill has managed, although he didn't gamble in the start laps, he had a brilliant race and rally, and then he's going to catch Berger, and he's currently number 1. Berger's got to be heartbroken. I can imagine what happened here. Hill got on Berger's butt, and then Berger, the pressure made him lose his line, and it started getting closer and closer, and then on one of those corners, he shot underneath him, got around him, and Hill pushed Berger to the limits. Hill steals the top spot. Number 3, Smith, who's also a brilliant driver. He has the best team grade. He has the best race grade. He needs to roll, though, a 5 or a 6. And he'll get a 6. That's going to be 4, and 6 is 12. So he's going to steal Berger's second spot minimum. Unbelievable. So Smith is also, so Berger not only lost the line, he lost the lead, and then Smith snuck up on Berger and got around him as well. So you see the pressure mounting. Berger gambles here. It gives him a lead, but then in the finish, the final 10 laps, the pressure eats away on Berger, and he didn't risk it. He should have gambled in a couple of these other spots to win. And this is what happens. Drivers who ride the edge win races. Guys who are like, I don't know, I'm going to be, sometimes it costs them. All right, number 4 is Jones. Jones is using the D race grade. 4 is going to be nothing extra. Damn, so Jones is going to snug in there right at 10. Okay. 5th is King. King is using the D race grade. And 5 is going to be +1-3. He's going to get 11. He's actually going to steal around Jones. And everybody's falling into their finishes here in this type. Remember, I picked the top 6 drivers of the 6 teams for this little Grand Bay race. Last but not least is Rose, who is coming up dead last. Rose, of course, has the lower grade of D. Let's see if we have a wreck before it's over. No, we will not. He's going to add 2. And that's it, folks. The race is actually over. So we're going to come in here, finish number 1. First place is Hill, who is leading the Drivers' Championship. He did it again. A second place is going to be Smith by the nature of his race, his driver grade. He breaks the tie. So again, the drivers, all things being equal, the better driver pushes around. Berger will take a podium spot for the first time this year. So Berger's got to be happy about getting on the podium. That gamble right here got him into 3rd, and guess how it finished with him in 3rd. Podium finished 2nd. 2nd finished 1st. And Berger gambled, and it got him 3rd. That's brilliant. So Berger was worth the risk. He didn't win it, but it got him on the podium. So that's going to get him in the point score for drivers. And then we have number 11, 4th is going to be King. That is Intmar. And then we're going to have 5th place will be Jones of Ebsol. And last but not least, coming up the rear. And guess what? We had a few events. We had some pits. Nobody wrecked. Nobody DNF'd. Nobody died. Obviously, if you're doing this with 20 or 30 drivers, you're going to see all kinds of stuff, right? But these are the top guys. All right. So that means Hill's going to score. So we go over here to our scoring page, continuing with our tutorial. We're going to ignore that I've already raced 2 other races. I'm just going to do this, like I said, rules is written here. Post-race scoring. So first gets 10. So Hill, 10 points. And the Drivers Constructors Cup. So this is Drivers Championship Constructors Cup. BRM is going to get 9 points. Number 2 is going to score for the drivers is going to score 7. So number 2 is Smith, 7 points. And by the way, Smith is Rector team. He's going to score 8 constructors points. 3rd place, Berger. And Berger is going to score 5 drivers points. And his team, Gamut, is going to score 7 points. 4th place is King. And King in 4th is going to score 3 drivers points. And King's team, Intmar Motors, that's the name of the corporation, Intmar Engines. Intmar was in 4th, and that's going to score them 6 constructor points. 5th place, Jones of Ebsol. which is oil company. Jones in fifth is going to get 1 driver's point. Ebsol in fifth is going to get 5 constructor points. And last but not least is Rose. Rose races for Bings. And by the way, he gets no points beyond that. So anybody who would have called in here, DNF, etc., will get 0. But Bings, being the 6th team, will get 4 constructor points. Now, if we had other cars, those constructor points would go up. So if BRM has 2 cars, you would add up their totals, and that would put them at, say, 13 for the season, right? You remember, you're gonna, if let's just say that BRM also came in here, that would be 13 points for BRM. Bings would be wherever they're at. So there you have it. And you can see my normal field is 6 teams with second cars. So most teams have second cars. I just cut it in half so we can finish this in a reasonable amount of time. And there you have it, folks. In the off season, of course, you've got driver contracts, pit crew contracts, car construction, and you have contract renewal. So any of these drivers that a team would want to keep, they need to make a roll to see if they automatically keep that driver or if they can renew that driver. So very simple auto renewal, or very simple contract renewal rules. And there you have it, folks. That is 7/21/26. This is Big Country Racing Time 2026 edition. There are some changes. Biggest change is if you don't push, you get 0 points. In the free version, everybody gets 2 points, no matter what they do. If they choose not to push, they still get 2 points, right? That's just to show that they're accruing laps or speed. But I wanted it to be more smaller numbers, and I wanted it to be representative of the max numbers you could get. So the max that a fast guy could get is 4. And the reason that's interesting is that makes all of these drivers, gives them choices. Do I push? Do I not push? If I do push, could I win? So you see how that happened. Berger could have sat tight. He would have been, he would have been behind, but he wouldn't have wrecked. However, because he did decide to give that pole position a run, he pushed it, and it almost won him the race. So what happens is it narrows the math, so we have some significant decisions to make. Not to mention, when we do have to roll, the results of that die could be punishing, like what's his name rolling the track violation. It cost him all of his points, even his 2 push points. It cost him for that. So and Hill still won despite that track violation. I think it was Hill. Was it Hill that got the track violation? Yeah, it must have been. No, it was Rose that got the track violation, which is why he's dead last, because instead of getting this bonus 2. He got 0 for a track violation, and that meant Rose was doomed. Basically, the referee waved the flag and said, no, Rose is going to have a 30-second penalty or something, and that just guaranteed. So Rose might have actually finished ahead of Jones, maybe even ahead of King, but because of that violation, Rose might have come in actually in 4th or 5th, but because of the violation, he does not get the place, right? So there you have it, folks. That is Big Country Time Sports 2026 edition. This is the very latest book. Again, purposely cleaned up, rewritten, made larger to conserve pages. And some of the stuff has been, rules have been tightened up for numbers of reasons. And hopefully this will help any version that you want to play. Just recognize the biggest change is in whether you get 2 points or you don't get 2 points. If you push, you get 2, but you have to roll. If you don't push, you're safe, but you don't get any points. In this version. In the other versions, you always get 2, and then a push could give you a bonus. So at least these guys would be accruing 2, even if they didn't push. And then there's those 2 that you must roll. So the bad drivers, even if they're just skating by to get 10th in the standings every week, those guys are not gonna be able to avoid potential catastrophe per race. And that's why you do it, because you got to make the big boys survive a random gamble, but you got to also make the bad drivers risk the biscuit, right? That's how that works, and it creates, especially if you were playing this with, say, 4 or 5 friends, do I want to risk that gamble, or am I going to play it out, right? And you can see how Hill did. Big qualifying forced the hands of these other drivers, but then he, following suit of the pole position, chose to coast because he said, the guy I got to beat, Smith. So I'll coast with him. Everybody else kind of felt this is our chance to take the lead against these two. Well, guess what? The two best drivers and the best teams, guess what happened? They slowly did exactly what smart teams do. They strategically played the role, and then ultimately they pulled it out, number one and number two. So you can see now what appears to be a simple die rolling game is loaded with choices and strategy, and we can't avoid the gamble. Unlike this version, the original Racing Time Classic, Racing Time Free rules, and Racing Time Original, every team now has this affects every driver and every car on every track indefinitely. That's their team grades, and it's all math, and you're rolling to add everything up against the track, against the team, against the driver. And so it's fun because you're rolling randomly, constantly, and it's creating this momentum. But then you can get that car back, you can get that car breakdown, and then so it's creating this really fun, fast narrative game, right? This is automated narrative. It's a scoring machine. This creates a score. And then, of course, it can create events like a car breakdown and then a pit crew failure and that guy's out, or a crash. If they tie, there could be a crash. The crash could lead to an injury or death. Here, you can have crashes, injury, and death, but only from the charts. So it just simplifies and makes the game a strategic game, not just a random dice rolling mechanism, right? So I will talk about that briefly here. I know I shouldn't because it's supposed to be a tutorial, but again, let's get into the philosophy of gaming. What is gaming? Well, gaming can be gambling, right? What is gambling? Well, gambling is literally, I think I can roll an odd number. I'm going to put $2 down. Yep. So I take the pot. And I say, you know what? I think I can roll another odd number, and I'm going to bet two of these $2 I just took. And everybody throws their hat in the ring and says, no, I'm going to ride. I'm not going to bet against you. Yep, I take that pot. So the game is this, and it's the gamble, and we're betting. The game is us betting on the gamble, right? And then there's games that create probability, right? Craps, right? Okay, six is the point. 6 is the point. No, 8. Keep rolling. 6 and 8. Oh, see, 6. Got it. I won. Boom. Give me that pot, right? So 6, 8, 6, right? Got it. So now I know my odds, so I'm gambling, but I actually am gambling on the odds, the 6s and 8s and whatever's going to come up, whatever the rules are, right? So now we take all that and we put it into these contexts, in context of football or racing or whatever. Now, can we create, based on Nash's equilibrium, right? Game theory, right? What is a game? What is a game? No, we're talking about a game, not gambling. What is a game? A game is you get a choice, I get a choice. I'm going to go here. Now, I have a choice. I could put a 0 here, right? Well, that's a bad choice because guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go here, and then he has no choice now. He has to stop me. Oh, guess what? I'm here. He's now behind the 8 ball. He's going to go here. He can't beat me. I'm going to go here. He's going to have to go here to block me. Oh, whoops. I wasn't paying attention. He beat me because I was trying to outrace him, and there it is. But what makes this Nash's equilibrium? If you know Nash's equilibrium, which is game theory, it's a game because you and I both know exactly the rules. And we know we both get a fair turn, and we both know exactly what it takes to win. And we also both have the power to stop the other guy from winning. We know that tic-tac-toe, of course you all know this if you've just seen the movie, tic-tac-toe, is supposed to be what's called a null state, right? Can never be won. This game should never be won or lost. It should always break even. That's Nash's equilibrium, right? So, when you make a war game, all of this must first be true, right? I can see the board, right? I have the same number of enemies in my risk game that you have, but you start here, and you start here, and you start here. Now, there might be some advantage that the guy who starts as America gets 2 extra infantry units every turn, and the guy who starts in Germany might get an extra tank unit every turn. So then we got these things that kind of affect our strategies. And then, of course, when I choose, do I choose to go here and attack this weakling, or do I choose to fortify and just steal the property? and create more inventory, expecting somebody to come invade me, maybe, whatever my choices are. I get to assess it the same way they're assessing it. They know why I do what I do. They're going to continue to do what they do. Everything's equal. Where the chance comes in is when you pull a card from the deck that's randomly dealt that tells me, oh man, I'm going to get double my tanks this turn. Yeehaw. And then when the combat starts, right? Oh, I lost that one. That I can't control, right? That's the gamble. So the game is generally everything's equal. Then we do something that creates a chance, right? Or gamble. Now, obviously, when we're doing stat-based games, we're doing replay games, I can make a replay soccer game in which there's no decision-making at all, right? When I'm just rolling, matching up two soccer teams, and that is a goal for this team because they're so good versus this team. So first half I get a goal, this team fails to score, and it's replay because they're matched up based on ratings and grades, and we're rolling dice and sophisticated, but I don't make any decisions. I just roll the dice and I see what happens, right? So ideally, you want to create environments where we're either completely automated and the game part is, the fun part is watching to see what happens. Or the next phase is do we need to make strategic decisions? Now, obviously, if I make a decision for Hill, right, that I obviously am going to affect the decisions I make for everybody else. So what this does is it puts an onus on me to make tough decisions for teams and drivers that I might have an affinity for Hill, right? Like Berger. Here's like, no, I think Berger would risk this. Hill's catchable. He doesn't want to fall behind. I'm going to go ahead and do it. But as the season wears on, I might get an affinity from Berger. Man, he's been so close to winning, he can't win. I start gambling with Berger. Well, guess what? In real life, Berger might say, man, I'm this close to being I'm this close to being on the podium every week. I'm going to start risking it. So it just becomes Berger's strategy for the year, and if it leads to his death, we have a narrative. If it leads to his injury, we have a narrative. If it leads to him being fired because he's too risky. So even my own decisions start to become part of the narrative of my gaming, right? So anyway, pretty fascinating. So I just wanted to share this tutorial because it is the latest book, and I'm trying to do all of the tutorials from the latest book. However, I guarantee you almost all the rules are the same. Whatever tutorial I'm doing for football, it's almost identical in every version. So you should be able to follow along and get that. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.